Welcome in. This is your Wednesday live chat for this week's Open Championship. It's one and done. It's ownership. It's weather. It's anything you could possibly imagine. Your questions, your concerns, your comments, get them in the chat right now. Thank you for going a little bit early with me this week. I've got a live TV thing to do later that would have interrupted our normal time. So much appreciated here. The next hour or so, I don't care how long it takes. We're going through everything we could possibly go through. I've got like 40 tabs open right now. The computer is working hard and we're going to jump right into it. If you have never been into one of these shows before, the way we start is with a couple of items. One, the weather, and this is going to be pretty heavy this week because of the nature of this event. Then we'll go to one and done ownership, et cetera, et cetera. Here we go. Here is the forecast. And yes, I do pay for the premium version of Windfinder. And this is how it looks for Thursday morning at Royal Troon. What you're looking at is a southerly wind that is about 9 miles per hour. If you look at the forecast, that is basically what you're going to get throughout Thursday, a 12 to 13 mile an hour sustained wind with gusts from 21 to 23 miles an hour, all from the south. The direction is important. I'll get into that in just a second. Friday, before play starts, it's not quite as windy, but by the time they are out on the golf course, you're getting similar winds, 9 to 15 miles an hour with gusts from 20 to 23 miles an hour. This is actually a little bit unfortunate. I'll tell you the history of this forecast and how it's been tracking for the last couple of days. I think there's going to be a wave advantage. We normally see that over here. I just don't know which wave it's going to be based on this. Both are basically 9 to 13 mile an hour sustained winds out of the south with gusts from 21 to 23 miles an hour. You could argue that going out on very early Friday morning might give you a bit of a reprieve. You might get some lower sustained winds by 5 miles an hour or so. You could make that argument. If you wanted to do that, that'd be interesting. I will say this, the forecast has changed quickly and often over the course of the past couple of days. There was actually a forecast yesterday that would have been devastating for I think it was the Thursday afternoon guys. Now that has not really panned out. So this will change. So I don't think this forecast demonstrates actionable wave advantages. However, I would not be upset if you wanted to allocate a percentage of your lineups to wave advantage. So let's say you were playing 10 lineups. If you wanted to put 2 that were PM AM and 2 that were AM PM, so you had 4 stacked waves and then the rest were just a mix, I think that would be fair because I do think you might get a wave advantage. The direction does matter here. So the way that a lot of link style golf in Scotland and a lot of places works is usually the front 9 goes out in one direction and the back 9 comes in. That's where we get those phrasings, right? You just walk 9 holes away from the clubhouse, you turn around and you come back to the clubhouse. That's how a lot of early golf courses were built. And you see that at Royal Troon. So the front 9 along the coast here runs essentially north to south. Then you get down into the jumble down here. You turn around at 10. And then for the most part, there are exceptions. 12 runs north to south. But for the most part, the back 9 does run like southeast to northwest. Okay. So front 9, north to south. Back 9, south to north. So the wind does matter here. When you're playing these holes downwind, they're going to be a lot easier than if you are playing them into the wind. So there was an early forecast that had Thursday afternoon playing a northerly wind and then a quick turnaround where the afternoon wind flipped to the south, which means there would have been guys that played both 9s into the wind. That seems to have moved on, and that is not going to be the case. But as we get into some of these other days, Saturday afternoon and Sunday, as that wind direction does change, or if we see this change throughout the week, it will impact play. Now that the way that I think is most actionable for that would probably be like props or front nine, back nine type situations on underdog. We can get to that a little bit later, but I do just want to point out the direction here. So long story short, very, nerdy, deep stuff. I don't think the forecast shows an actionable wave advantage, but I think that you should allocate 30 or 40% of your lineups to wave advantages because it's likely that it'll happen. Okay. Moving on from the weather. Here are the industry-wide ownership selections for one and done. You're seeing a ton of live guys at the top here. Terrell Hatton leads the way at 18%, Bryson at 17. So a third of all entries are going with those two guys. Then you have John Rahm at 13%. So basically half the entries will have Hatton, DeChambeau, or Rahm. I understand it. If you have any number of PGA Tour guys left, I think you could conceivably not use a live golfer here. I have some where I've done a good job of preserving guys for the home stretch here, and now I'm going to be able to get, maybe it's Rory McIlroy at 10%, or maybe it's Tommy Fleetwood or at 5%, or Colin Morikawa at 5%. I have that luxury in some scenarios. If you do not, and I have plenty of leagues where I do not have that luxury, I'm just probably rolling out Bryson here. Bryson or DeChambeau. John Rahm, I think, is a little bit riskier. I actually think Cam Smith won't be that bad if you wanted to go down there. So I get it. There is a future value conversation to be had, especially because all of these live guys are going to lose their future value immediately upon the conclusion of this event or the start of this event. So it is a noteworthy thing to talk about. Now, last thing, then we'll get to your questions, because this is big as well. Splash Sports, where we host our weekly listener leagues, just went live in Canada like last night. Okay. So that means if you are in Canada, you can now join our listener leagues with this, which this week is $25,000 guaranteed. And if you get the optimal lineup, they give you an extra $100,000. So Canada is now in. You can get in all the other Splash contests. Even if you're not in Canada, the link is in the description for this. It's filling quickly. There's only a couple hundred spots left. This will likely fill, but it's guaranteed. If you somehow pull the optimal on your $20 entry, one golfer from each of 6 tiers, they give you an extra $100,000. So wanted to make that announcement right out of the gate. The link is in the description for everything that you need. Let's get to the questions. What 3 guys would you put your money on to win the tournament? I think if you wanted to build a reasonable card, and you want to take my advice, which you should not, you should spend your money however you want. I think if you went Rory at 8-1, Colin at 16 or 18-1, and Finau at 45 or 50, whatever you could get him at, I would be happy going to battle with those 3. Is there any way to break down the Splash tier picks for a 100-person tournament? I'm torn on how contrarian to be. Do I need to eat the chalk with Rory in that, or excuse me, eat the chalk with Scotty in that tier 1? So let me just throw another entry in here, and we'll just do this together here so we can look at tier 1. So tier 1, yeah. So it's all the big boys. You probably can eat the chalk here because listen, there's going to be a lot of Rory. There is going to be a lot of Ludwig and maybe even Bryson or John Rahm or Colin Morikawa here. So I don't think Scotty Scheffler is going to be overly popular. Now, if you do pick him in tier 1, you can probably get a little creative in tier 2. Sung J M in tier 2, maybe even Corey Connors in tier 2. Joaquin Niemann in tier 2 would be pretty interesting. There are different ways to go. I'll run this with Scotty Scheffler and Sung J. Now, I don't think I need to get too crazy outside of this. I will probably just roll with guys that I think are best here. Rye or Tom Kim would probably be out of tier 3 for me. Tier 4 would probably be either Lowry, Cam Young, or Sepp Straka. I don't think I have a lot of Straka at this point. I'll take Straka. Tier 5, I've been riding with Cam Smith. If you wanted to go with Adam Scott, I think that would be fair as well. Let's go Adam Scott. And then tier 6 is everybody else. So this is where I've kind of gotten freaky. A lot of Rasmus Højgaard, some Matteo Montecero, a little bit of Tom McKibben. I think if you wanted to go with some of the more seasoned guys like Ricky Fowler, I think that's not the end of the world, or Harris English. But for this one, which is crazy because Will Zalatoris is also here, but that's hard to go with. I'll go with John Catlin here. We'll submit this. Hopefully that's the $100,000 lineup. Is there any way to deep dive the 2015 Open where Phil and Stenson went at it? What were they gaining strokes? Where were they gaining strokes? What kind of strategy were they using? Yes, I probably should have wrote about it in my email. I'm not going to, that'll take an hour and a half to litigate right now. So can you please run a model with 5 stats, 20% each, last 36 rounds, good drive percentage, approach around the green, birdies are better, greens in regulation. All right. So Ronnie's doing a smart thing here. I'm assuming Ronnie is not a member at my website, rickrungood.com, which is where all these tools that you're going to see are coming from. It has all the strokes gain metrics from LIV, the DP World Tour, of all PGA Tour, Korn Ferry, of all weeks. Weeks like this are so incredibly valuable to have all the data. But he is saying, hey, can you run this model for me so that I don't have to pay, which is all good. That's why we're here. So let's do it. Ronnie, this is your model. 20% each on last 36, good drive percentage. So that's under driving. 20. Approach. So I'm assuming just strokes gained approach here, right? So strokes gained approach. Around the green last 36. Birdie or better. And then he's doubling down on approach with greens in regulation. And then we'll get him birdie or better. This is Ronnie's model. His number 1 golfer is Scotty Scheffler. Aaron Rye is number 2. Davis Thompson, Collin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy. And then it's Corey Connors, Tony Finau, Hideki Matsuyama, Ludwig, and Sungjae Im. Good luck. Good morning, Rick. In single entry contests, I'm torn between Tom Kim and Matthew Jordan or Finau and Monacero. What do you think? I think that Finau is better than Tom Kim, and I think that Monacero is probably better than Jordan. So I'm going with that side. Just I don't know why we need to be quick here. Just do it fast. Why? Because it's quicker. That's from The Office. Finau's been unbelievable, right? So let's do this. I mean, the fact when he fixed the putter, which was a huge problem for the vast majority of 2024, when he fixed the putter, it started to get really good. His links record is very good, right? Is open. He missed the cut last year. T28, T15, third, T9. Doesn't have a finish outside the top 30 after that. Tom Kim's been good too, but there's something about Finau that I think there's a lot of juice to squeeze out of. And then Matteo Monacero, I think he's one of the more valuable golfers on the slate. He's like $5,400, and you're getting him. Look at what he did. He played the Scottish Open last week. 8 strokes gained ball striking. He has a putting problem, but we are going to slow, small, readable greens. Matteo, I think, is a good option. Then look at what he's doing on the DP World Tour. Again, if you only had access to PGA Tour data, you would think Matteo Monacero has played twice in the last 2 years. No, he's been crushing it on the DP World Tour. He had a win in March. He had 2 straight top 10s from the KLM Open to the Italian Open. He's on a great run right now. So I think that side is the side that we want. Brian, with all respect, I'm not going to run a Barracuda model this early in the show. We can get to that later. Is there a way to run a model that looks at performance in inclement weather? There are a lot of different inclement weathers. Is it rain? Is it wind? Is it a combination of both? I would say in general, accurate drivers and great ball strikers are the best at this because in wet conditions, fairways do not roll out as much. So playing out of the fairway becomes a little bit easier, which means, well, on the PGA Tour, you get to pick up your ball. That's not going to happen at the Open Championship. And then the wind is always like, people are like, oh, Apex. There are a lot of flaws with Apex, right? I will not go through them all right now, but there are a lot of flaws with Apex and wind speed and wind direction and getting gusted and all that stuff. The one big correlator is that the guys that flush it, the best ball strikers, the guys that hit it off the middle of the club face most frequently, do best in wind. Hey, Rick, is links golf exclusively a UK thing, or do we have links courses in the US? We do have links courses in the US. It's just more rare. What you've described, you see it a lot now in some of these resorts in Michigan or maybe in Oregon or in Wisconsin, kind of what you're pointing out, where they're trying to make a links style of golf. Now it's not as natural, right? Links courses in the UK have been crafted by the wind, right? And rain and things that have actually just naturally moved the turf for the last 300 years. That does not exist in the United States. So you're kind of manufacturing that style of golf, but it does exist. Joaquin Niemann is a question from Tom. Joaquin Niemann was a very popular selection around the Masters, and I get why. Right, he played himself into it. He won twice on the European Tour, or excuse me, he won once on the European Tour, then won Live Golf Mayakoba early in the year. Then he went back and won again in Jeddah, and he's done basically nothing but finish inside the top 10 on Live since then. If you look at his Open Championship history, it's not very good. Missed cut in 19, 59th in 21, 53rd in 22, missed cut in 2023. So that's the only concern I have around Joaquin Niemann. But if you look at his metrics, his live numbers are great. He's driving it well as expected. The putter has been at times bulky, but he can put up a +3 at times for him. Remember, these are all 3 rounds. So, whatever his averages are, they're a little bit better than if these were 4 rounds. But I think Joaquin Niemann, outside of the fact that he has not played Open Championships very well, is a pretty good play. Can we get DFS ownership projections? Yep. So again, here's rickrungood.com. It's my site. It is a massive golf database. I would argue it's the largest in the world that's dedicated to golf betting and fantasy golf, with all the tours and all the information that's coming in here. Can we get DFS ownership projections? Yes. So right here on the cheat sheet, we are looking at the 6 golfers in the 10K and above range are all between 20 and 26% projected ownership, except Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm is coming in at a third of that, 7% projected ownership. In the 9K range, you're seeing a lot of Colin Morikawa at 19%, a little bit less for Victor Hovland and Patrick Cantlay at 15%. Hatton, Brooks Koepka, they are, I suppose, just victims of pricing here, because they're coming in at like 5 and 7%. You've got Tommy Fleetwood, who's going to be popular. You have Colin, who's going to be popular. I'm supposing that those are just the odd men out there. The 8K range is pretty even. All those guys between 8 and 13%, nothing that stands out too crazy. The top of the 7K range is getting a lot of attention. Neiman at 16, Robert McIntyre at 18, Brian Harman at 12, everybody else in single digits except for Sahith at 15%. The 6K range, a ton of Sung J M as expected at $6,900. He has 22% projected ownership. Every other guy in this range is sub 10%. Many of them are sub 5%. You're seeing 3% on Romain Langasque, and then everybody else is like sub 2%. Can we get a deep dive on Noren? Seems like a solid option for links. Yes. So let's look at Alex Noren here. And we could also we could do a couple of things here, because he's got a lot of worldwide links history, right? So we could do, oh boy. All right, let's do this. Let's do Open Championship. Let's do Scottish Open. Let's do Alfred Dunhill links, and let's just see what those look like. So he's got T10 at this year's Scottish Open, T23 at last year's Open. He missed the cut at last year's Scottish, T2 at the Alfred Dunhill last year, 30th, 12th, missed cut, 15th, 11th, 17th, 6th, missed cut. Yeah, I mean, like, this is, it's pretty good, right? I mean, you're looking at his last 12 events between these styles on these courses. He's gained in a lot of them, and routinely gains at least 5 strokes to the field. Outside of that little tiny slump he went through, where he missed the cut at the US Open and missed the cut at the Rocket Mortgage, he's been splendid. And I like to see that he's gaining throughout the bag. That is something that when Alex Noren is going right, he does frequently. So I believe you're on the right track here, Lamb. Hey, Rick, I've been down a rabbit hole, oh boy, on Eric Cole. I don't think the stage is too big for him. I do think that the last 2 starts have been very positive, because I'm sorry. I was looking at these two. I was thinking of these two, Rocket Mortgage and the John Deere, where he was, again, gaining throughout the bag. That's something that you want to see. This is a concern. The ability to lose 5 strokes ball striking, 7, 2, and 2, all within his last 6 starts, is a concern. That is not what he was doing. I mean, he's not a great driver, but he's usually stout on approach. We're not seeing that right now. I'm going to be concerned about that. Hey, Rick, thanks for all that you do. Love your data and analysis. In honor of Bobby Mack, do you think you can run a model that shows the best strokes gained cheaters? No, I don't think I'm willing to do that. It's a little much to call guys out for cheating and say that they're a cheater. Shout out from Delaware. Can you do a deep dive on Louis O? And do you like Finau's chances this week? Talked about Finau. So we're definitely in on him. Louis, I think is good. He's been, if you go and look at the power rankings, he's been one of the best players in the world over the last 50 rounds. Now he's beating up on Liv, he's beating up on the Asian Tour. You can decide how important that is to you, but over his last 50, he's gaining 2.03 strokes per round. It's the sixth best mark of anybody in this field, coming off a T4 in Andalusia. The metrics look good. He did have back-to-back wins in South Africa to start the year. I've mentioned that countless times. So this does date back to basically December and how well he's been playing. So yes, I think that he is I think he's a good play. Any update on what the Bezuidenhout injury was? No, I don't know that. Can we run a simple model? This is John's model, which is going to be 25 each on how many rounds? We'll do 36 again. So, okay, here's John's model. It is going to be driving accuracy. So if you like what John's approach is, this is also for you. Driving accuracy, driving distance, 25 on each one of those. Greens in regulation, so this is pretty straightforward. And then bogey avoidance. Okay, John, your number one golfer is Scotty Scheffler. Then you get Ludwig, Xander, Tommy Fleetwood, and then you get, look at this, 5 guys that I have starred in a row. Aaron Rai, Sung J M, Sepp Straka, Colin Morikawa, Tom McKibben, and Tom Kim. Good luck. I have 3 golfers for my one and done with 40 people: Hatton, Smith, or Rahm. Depends on your position. If you are near the top, play Hatton. If you are in the middle, play Rahm. If you are at the bottom, play Smith. Talked about that. Why so much hate for Akshay and Harman? I don't know who was giving you hate about either one of those guys. I'm quite warm on Akshay. He's been awesome. He can putt. He is good enough off the tee. He's calm, cool, and collected, except for that one Sunday. He's not going to win, but I think he could be in the mix. Second in a one and done. He has Colin, Hatton, Cantlay, and Wyndham. Ooh, you don't have a live guy you can play? Because I'm sorry, Hatton. Yeah, no, you should be playing Hatton. Deep dive on Adam Scott. Yeah, so I got the timing wrong on Adam Scott. I've been singing his praises for the vast majority of the year. Remember, I was betting him basically every event, February, March, and then kind of stopped after the Masters. I thought he was building up to a Masters run. Maybe he's building up to an Open Championship run because he hasn't stopped playing poorly since the Masters. In fact, he's just got similar, if not better, results. And then he finishes runner-up last week at the Scottish Open. And this was, I don't think people realize how great he still is off the tee, how the rest of his game has started to come into form. This is a guy we've been tracking for a while. I think maybe we got the timing wrong. And I think maybe he's been gearing up towards playing well here. I think he's like a 75 out of 100 or something like that, an 80 out of 100. Guess on winning score. This will depend a lot on the weather and the wind. I would say, because it's, you know, if there's no wind, it's going to be pretty gettable. I'll say 18 under. Does that feel okay? Christian Bezuidenhout or Mean Dean Burmeister? I'm a pretty big Burmeister guy. Somebody who has also played very well this year. He's been crushing it on Live. He won in Miami. He played well at the PGA Championship. He made the cut at Pinehurst and really was in much better shape before a pretty disastrous weekend, but he's got 2 top 25s, 25th and 17th in his 2 Live starts prior to that. I worry that maybe the short game spots get Burmeister, but he's a very, very good long game player. And he's having a great year. I like Mean Dean. Is Sam Burns being overlooked? That's a good question. Let's do the deep dive on Sam Burns here. Oh boy. I think I saw that coming from a mile away. I think I just got logged out. Hold on. Let's try this again. I knew my login was going to expire here. Let's try this again. Yeah, there we go. I have a special account that I have to like log in different ways. So is Sam Burns being overlooked is the question. No, I think he's being properly looked. Even if that is a little negatively. The T15 and the T9 at the Memorial and the US Open were a little fool's goldy, right? To lose 2.8 and a stroke on approach and still have 2 top 15 finishes, that's not super sustainable. And then you see kind of what happens is a guy struggling with his approach play, struggles again, and then it finally catches up to him because he doesn't gain 7 strokes putting, and he finishes T55 in a field of 70 golfers or whatever at the Travelers Championship. So these are okay numbers. They're not great numbers. There are certainly a lot of concerns here. Sam Burns' major history is probably below what you would expect from him, and his open history is not very good. So no, I think he's being probably properly looked at. I'm fourth in my one and done. Everyone in front of me has used Bryson. No, you should use Bryson. You should absolutely use Bryson. I would not be wasting Tony or Cam Young or Terrell Hatton or no. I think if you're in first or sorry, you're in fourth, but everybody in front of you, you have a path to the top with Bryson. Use Bryson. Cam Young's last 2 starts have been promising. Do you think that's a mirage? RIP to the mirage. RIP mirage. Do you think this is a good time to jump on the side train? So I think Cam Young falls into the category of Patrick Cantlay. There's a couple other of these guys that are giving us what I call breadcrumbs, right? I talked about this in my newsletter for this week. You should go sign up. It's 100% free, rickrungood.com/newsletter. There are a couple guys who just have breadcrumbs. And if you're willing to go with small sample sizes, these are the guys for you. Not everybody is willing to commit immediately, but I do like what I see. Elite ball striking, awesome. 0 putter. That's all I need from him. I just need him to be a 0. Don't lose 6 strokes. Don't lose 4. His around the green play, which in his rookie year was awesome. He's gained significantly in each of his last 3. So I'm willing to take those breadcrumbs, gobble them up, and say, yes, it's a good spot for Cam Young. I know not everybody is willing to do that. Any love for Nacho? My heart is on fire for Elvira. Ooh, boy, let's go check and see what he is up to. I think I have him in here as, I think Nacho is his nickname. Hold on. Let's see. Okay. No, I got him in here. All right. Missed the cut at the Scottish, missed the cut at the International Open, missed the cut at the European Open, but his 2 other starts during that 5-start stretch were a win and a T7. He is a miserable putter. He's a very good approach player. He does not drive it particularly well. Oh boy. This is about as volatile as it gets. He is either going to miss the cut or finish inside the top like 18. There's just no way around it here because he's capable of gaining 7 on approach, losing 9 with the putter, losing 4 with the putter, gaining 5.5 with the putter. All of those are within his last 5 starts. Let's check out has he played the Open before? Last year, 1 time, 2020, missed cut. If you want to dart throw Lincoln, because that's really what this is, it's a very high risk play. I would not get him in a situation where you need stability. Sure, run out Nacho Elvira. Corey Connors, I'm warming on pretty significantly here. It's been however many years since he turned pro. The only concern has ever been the putter. He picked up 7 strokes at the Canadian Open. I thought that was just unbelievably impossible for him to do. But then he picked up 3.5 at the US Open, and he picked up 4 at the Scottish Open, and he's lost a couple of times in the middle there. But we now have 3 very good putting performances in his last 5, and he's obviously one of the best ball strikers that we have. He's going to play out of the fairway, right? He does not miss a lot of fairways. If we can get that putting week, and he's got decent Open Championship history, just gain 2 strokes putting this week, and I think he's in the mix. So I'm buying this. We might not be full on Corey Connors resurgent. You know, he is the greatest putter in the world type of guy, but I think it's worth some investment. Nikolai Højgaard was strong last week and then fell apart on Sunday. And then it says, would that scare you off, or are you out on him in general? I'm kind of out on him. The ball striking was awesome. Still can't putt. The fact that if you look at his last 5 or 6 starts, he's only had one good one. It was last week. I think Rasmus is playing significantly better than Nikolai is. So, I mean, he can't even beat his own twin. Is he going to beat the rest of the field? No, I can't. I just think that he's kind of trending in the wrong direction. Here's Rasmus's profile. Much better. Cheaper too, I think, by $400. Even though driving accuracy has been talked about a lot, can some guys with more distance off the tee be okay? Yeah. So here's the dirty little secret here. And I spoke about this kind of ad nauseum on Monday, and then I wrote about it in my email newsletter. There's not one way to play this golf course off the tee. There's a lot of ways to play it off the tee, especially depending on the direction of the wind and how firm and fast it might end up being. I don't think it's going to be super firm or super fast. You could conceivably have guys who just remove some of the trouble that they would normally bring on with their driver by hitting like a driving iron. There are also a lot of kind of forced areas, like these little creeks that run across, like you're just laying back in most situations. So I don't know if you're going to hit a ton of drivers around here. So those guys who do spray driver, I do think they're more live here. The other thing is, and I've seen some photos and some videos for this week, just in the rough is kind of this fescue, which I didn't think was as thick as normal. And you can catch some decent lies, and you can kind of just extract yourself a little bit from there. Deeper is going to be a problem, but just off the fairway, I didn't think was huge. Thoughts on Shubhankar Sharma? Yeah, baby. That's how you know this is a live chat for the Open Championship. Let's get to Sharma here. I think he played well. Was it last week? T39. Yeah, gained 10 strokes on approach last week, which is certainly something he's not going to do again, but he's routinely gaining 4, 5, and 6. A lot of just kind of middling performances on the DP World Tour. No missed cuts in his last 7 or 8, but basically everything between 40 and 50. He did finish 5th at the Italian Open. I think this is, this is going to be an uphill battle for him, right? When you're finishing 50th in these fields, and then you get the Scottish Open, which is admittedly basically half a PGA Tour event, half of a DP World Tour event, finished 39th by having an outlier career day or week, concerns me. I think he probably finishes worse than that this week. Okay. Before I forget, and because I know Mina has stuff to run around and do, I want to dive into the props for this week and unveil the underdog portion of the show. Woof, woof. Yeah. For those of you who are new, my wife, she barks in the intro to that. It's kind of crazy. It gets Ollie perks his ears up every single time laying over there on the floor when she does that. Okay. So there's a couple of things. One, let's to get really nerdy here. They have front 9 and back 9 stroke props, which are incredibly dependent on wind direction and wind speed. So the front 9 is a par 36. The back 9 is a par 35. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these. Also, we talked about the wind direction. So if it's a southerly wind, which is what we're going to get out of the gate, that means the front 9 is into the wind. The back 9 is downwind. And then if you look at the scoring, historical scoring, the front 9 is going to be easier. The back 9 is where it gets ratcheted up. A number 11 might be one of the hardest holes these guys play all year long, plays a half stroke over par by itself alone, but 10, 11, 12, and 13, absolute gauntlet, and no real reprieve after that 15, 17, and 18. So I think there is an opportunity to take advantage of some of these. So if we're looking at round 1, that southerly wind means that the front 9 is going to play into wind, and it is a par 36. So for someone like Jon Rahm, he would have to shoot 2 under on the front or better to go lower than his front 9 prop here. The front 9 is going to play probably pretty close to even par. So is Jon Rahm going to gain 2 strokes on the first 9 holes? Is he going to gain 4 strokes in round 1, right? Is he going to stay on that pace? That would be pretty unlikely, considering the fact that he is in the midst of some pretty big struggles right now. So higher for Jon Rahm, 35 holes, 1 through 9. Then I was kind of looking at some of these strokes, right? So added up, it is a par 71. We talked about Corey Connors. Can Corey Connors shoot under par? Well, this is a good course for him. He's playing well. We talked already about this. I say, yes, he can. Lower, 71 and a half. And you can mix and match the rivals on these too. So remember, you only want to play 3, 4, and 5 leg entries at the standard payouts. Everything else is going against you. I did a video about this about a week ago. You can check that out as well. Doesn't this feel a little wonky? You know, we can't pick on Jon Rahm twice in the same entry, but Bryson over Jon Rahm in round number 1, Ludwig over Jon Rahm in round number 1. Again, we can't pick on Jon Rahm twice in the same entry, but like those would be ones that I would build other entries on. Sung Jae Im over Justin Thomas. Sung Jae's been great. JT's been all over the place. So that would be a good 3 leg entry. You've got, that's 6.x return. So that's, 100 to return 630. Then, you can go and try to find other guys to pick on here a little bit. Shane Lowry over Matt Fitzpatrick, if you wanted to go the 4 entry route, that's a 10.5x. Cam Young over Jordan Spieth. Talked about guys going in different directions. This is a 5 leg. That's 21x. You probably want to stop there. I know it's exciting to do the 8-leggers. The odds really start to go against you in those situations. And it isn't 21x enough. 100 to win 2,100. 10 to win 210, right? Isn't that enough? So those are the ones that I would be looking at. There are also just, I think as the wind changes, it's going to be really important to get these guys going in the right direction. So remember, front 9 in a southerly wind is into, back 9 is downwind, and they are different pars. The underdog guys just popped up their deposit match. Now it's $250. So use the code Rick. The link is in the description. I also want to mention I'm going to the Wyndham Championship this year, thanks to Underdog, right? They're throwing a little thing. And I was like, hey, so now I get to be boots on the ground for you guys, for the first time at the Wyndham Championship for me because of that. So yeah, Underdog's doing some good stuff right now. A lot of great stuff in the industry. Still in second, 1 and done. Between Morikawa and Rahm. Yeah, I mean, I think Colin's playing well enough that you could use Colin anywhere else. If you do not have a lot of bullets left, I know it stinks, but you are going to probably just have to use Jon Rahm. Your preview mentioned green and regulation as a stat. You don't say that much could allow you. You don't say that much. Could you elaborate more on why green and regulation and when GOR would be used? What is GOR? Greens over regular? What is GOR? So I probably said green and regulation for a couple reasons. I think guys that hit greens in regulation are ones that have good distance control. And because these are small greens, the smallest on the rota, and they are oddly shaped. I'll see if I can get you an example here. Number 2, a lot of them have these shapes where there's a tongue down below. It gets like 2.5x's wide, and then trouble kind of protects some of these tongues here. I think distance control in general is a very good thing to have here. And everywhere, obviously. But since there's not like a great distance control metric, maybe I should create that. I think greens and regulation translates very well to that. So that is why I was saying greens and regulation. Here's another. Let's check on Live Golfer. How about Abraham Answer? Asks Sean. Feel like he's all but forgotten. He's played okay. He won in Hong Kong, a couple of top 10s after that. Then it's gotten a little bit worse. T10, T24, T18, T26. Remember, they're 54-man fields. He's lost at least 2.5 strokes putting in 2 of his last 3. The short game has been troublesome, which I worry about here. If you start missing these greens, Sean, and you can't get up and down, it's gonna be painful for you. His open history is nothing spectacular. T11 in 2022 is by far his best result. 49th is his next best result after that. So he's like a 5.5 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10. I like the results. I think they're going in the wrong direction. I think the one aspect that he's struggling most with gets magnified here. And also, he doesn't have great links history. So it is hard to be super excited about Abraham Ancer. Maybe he's a 4.5 out of 10, something like that. Sure, we can do a deep dive at Sepp Straka because I think Sepp Straka is in a pretty good spot this week. Accurate, very accurate off the tee. And I worry that he has lost the short game, right? I 100% worry about that. Though I'm not sure, at least the putting side of things, he's usually a much better putter than he's kind of shown here recently. I think he's come into his own as a very good professional golfer. But I do worry about the short game stuff. He's been miserable in the last 4, but I would be willing to, we know that when he plays well, he can win golf tournaments and contend at like big events. He almost stole that playoff event from Will. He finished T2 at the Open last year. So I don't think the stage is too big for him. I just do not like that short game trend right now. Top 15 in Splash 1 and done still have Rahm and Hatton. And Mina is above you. Do you know, have you put your pick in yet? She hasn't put her. I was going to give you the inside scoop on who she picked. You should probably use Hatton. Sucks. You're going to go all year and not use Rahm. It's crazy. Are you more bullish or on Bryson due to his recent form or more bearish due to his tournament history and course fit? Probably more bullish. You know, I would have said the same thing at Augusta National, or I would have said, you know, because he struggles at Augusta National, he was never going to be able to figure that place out. I think that he has done an incredible job of evolving his game and taking strategy much more seriously. No more does he say things like it's a par 68. No more does he, you know, he was baited, and he was baited this week. You know, can you bring this golf course to its knees, basically? And he was like, nah, you can't overpower it. Great. There is a lot more strategy off the tee here than I think people are realizing. I'm bullish on Bryson. Yeah, agreed. So listen, I'm just going to lump this into like a couple of other things here. So it says 50-1 is way too long for Finau and Cantlay. There's a question coming up that asks me what my betting card looks like. Here's what I'm going to do. You should not bet what I bet. I say this every single week. I do not spend your money. You do not spend mine. However you want to do it. I have been incredibly disciplined this year, and I've stayed in my lane. And there are a lot of weeks I've only bet 2 or 3 golfers, and I've really tried to be disciplined and keep a tight card every week. This will be the exception to that. I'm just excited about it. I thought there were a lot of guys in the 50-1 range that I wanted nibbles on. I know we're not going to get another major for 250 days. I got a little excited. I am very undisciplined this week. So my card, Rory McIlroy at 8.5-1, Colin Morikawa at 16, Tyrrell Hatton at 28, and Tony Finau at 50. Those were like the main. That was like, okay, I started here. Then I got a little frisky and said the number on Cantlay is too long, 50-1. The number on Cam Smith is too long, 50-1. And the number on Shane Lowry is too long, 45-1. So I kind of just added 3 more guys at 45 or 50-1 than I normally would, because I just thought it's the last major of the year. Screw it. Let's do it. I don't care. I've been very good all year long. Let's be bad. Let's be bad. I'm third in my one and done with 90 participants. Just play Hatton. Okay. Haven't heard much about Keegan or Bez at 6.6. Well, you haven't heard a lot about Keegan probably because his open history is stinky. Okay. So let's look at it together. Cut. 79th are his last 5. T18 here in 2016. Cut in 2015. Then he was okay before that, a couple top 20s. But that's probably why you have not heard much about Keegan, which is a shame because I just like the way I like Keegan a lot. And then the other one is Christian. Yeah. So I don't, I don't know why he withdrew. I don't remember. Haven't heard anything about if it's lit. I haven't heard anything. So he withdraws from the Scottish Open. And he was, he was like, he was an average golfer in round 1. And then he started he went like double, triple out of the gate and withdrew for an injury. And I haven't heard anything else about it. So if I just forget that exists, I like him a lot, and I like him a lot more than Keegan. Took a long time to get to a Scotty Scheffler question. I guess because most people probably have their mind made up on Scotty. Oh God, stand by. I keep using the same tab too, so it keeps popping me out. But I have so many tabs open. I don't think I can reset it at this point. Here's Scotty's profile. It's a joke. Should we consider fading Scotty? No. The worst thing you've seen all year from him was one metric at the US Open, in which you could not be farther from that this week. Pinehurst was greens at a 14 with a ton of undulation that you can't read, all that. This is small greens on the slower side, much easier to read. No, this is not the time nor place to be fading Mr. Scheffler. What 2 DP World Tour guys do you think could end up in the top 10? Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay, let me go to the cheat sheet, which I must have closed at some point. Let me go to the cheat sheet here and scroll through these names. The first name that popped in my head was Tom McKibben. That was the first name that popped in my head. We already talked about Matteo Montecero. I think Rasmus Højgaard is in that conversation. We can look at McKibben's. I'll pull up McKibben's profile here. Trying to see if there's anybody else. Romain Langasque. And I guess I don't consider John Catlin a DP World Tour player. He's a live golfer, at least a replacement backup live golfer, but he would be on the list as well. So here's McKibben. Missed the cut at the Scottish Open, missed it on the number, and he did it in a way that he never really does it. He lost 4 strokes on approach. He's a very good approach player. 2nd, 6th, 41st, 8th in his last handful of starts where he's gained a ton on the DP World Tour. Again, I'm not going to give you the hard sell on rickrungood.com. The fact we have the strokes gain metrics for all of these DP World, this is insane. It's absolutely insane. If there were ever weeks, these are the weeks. Here's Romain Langasque. Great driver, great putter. That'll be a good start here. Finished 3rd at the Scottish Open, and we were talking about him last week. So very, very good stuff there. Are Brooks and Cam Smith viable one and done plays? I prefer Cam Smith a little bit more. Actually, Cam Smith was probably one of those guys that I said was laying breadcrumbs. There was a lot of excitement for Cam Smith leading up to Pinehurst, and I think we were probably just like a major too early. Short game is back. The approach plays again, breadcrumbs, right? It's getting a little bit better. If this is the trend and we get the world-class short game, I think this is a good spot for Cam. I worry about the driver. Of course I do. Drove it well at Andalusia. I worried about I was not, I get a lot wrong all the time, But I pat myself on the back, did not fall for the Cam Smith US Open stuff. That did not make sense to me because of how he drives it. I still think that it's a problem here, but at Pinehurst, it's a huge problem. I think Colin Morikawa is going to win this. What are the optimal builds? Yeah, so I think what you're seeing are a lot of builds that are starting, it's either Scotty, Rory, so it's and then Colin is basically seem to be a very popular start. And then people are plugging in Sung Jae or Sahith or something like that and then going from there. I think that the optimal build will probably be like Scotty's price is not sufficiently high enough. And we've talked about that a lot this year. He's been in almost every single optimal lineup. So it's probably like Scotty. And then it's going to be one of these like $5,500 or $6,000 golfers that finishes in T9, right? And hopefully it's Matteo Montecero, and hopefully it's, Matthew Jordan and these guys that I've, starred down here, John Catlin. And then it's going to be like Tom Kim, Shane, like it's just going to pile in like a bunch of guys who are like B tier PGA Tour players. Does Tiger make the cut? I'll say no, but if he does, he's probably going to do what he's done when he has made cuts, which is like he makes the cut and then it gets really, really bad on the weekend because the body can't hold up. Right. But I will say no, he does not make the cut. Talked a lot about the sub 6K guys. Talked a lot about Cam Smith. Talked a lot about Joaquin Niemann. Love the 9 a.m. show. I'm first in my one and done. Got to go live, right? That's correct. Your options are Hatton, Cam, or Niemann. You're going with Hatton. Oh, okay. Okay. This is a new name we haven't talked about. Let's look at Gary Woodland. He popped for a moment at the Scottish. I want to say it was Thursday. Is that right? Oh, he must have struggled after that. Yeah. Wow. Really bad. Okay. So lost strokes the rest of the week. Man, no, he's just, it's unplayable. Unfortunately, the ball striking is so, it's the antithesis of Gary Woodland. There's just the short game's been bad. It's bad. It's bad all around. I can't be interested in that. Hello from Thailand. That's cool. Can you comment on Thai golfer Denwit Borin Boonsub? Believe it or not, I have a profile on him. I don't know anything about him, but it looks like he played in Morocco in July, a couple weeks ago, finished T49, T17 at the Saudi in April, 9th in Macau. I mean, cool. I hope he plays well. He's the min price. Denwit. He's got a couple of good Asian Tour finishes. I don't know anything else about him. Rooting for him though. Thanks for popping in. Can you do a deep dive on Aaron Rai? Oh, Nolan is a member of the YouTube. So I will always, answer these questions. I do like behind the scenes course vlogs, like when I travel to events for the members as well. I just dropped one for my trip to Vegas, where I spent a day doing some stuff, which you can check out. I've got plans for Wyndham Championship content, Hawaii content. I've got some behind the scenes stuff in the office planned. There's some good stuff. So join the YouTube channel if that behooves you. So I cannot believe, Nolan, it took this long to get to Aaron Rai. So late ad, remember, so he qualified for the Scottish Open. So he did not get added to this field until Monday, right? If you have liked Aaron Rai, and I said this last week too, if you've liked Aaron Rai for the last couple of weeks, as you should have, you are running him out again. And I said it last week. He finishes T4. This is a golf course that will reward you for playing out of the fairway. He does that beautifully. He's a very good second shot player, despite the fact that he lost a stroke and a half last week. He is a stout around the green player, and all of a sudden, thanks to a new putting coach, a new style of putting, a new way to read greens, he is scorching earth with the flat stick. I don't know what's going to come up here, but let's just do this really quickly. Golfer power rankings, last 16 rounds, 16 minimum, and we got to do, we'll just do the PGA because then we'll know we'll have all the shot link stuff on a level playing field. He might be the best putter in the world over the last 16 rounds. He is, and it's not even close. He's gaining 1.4 strokes per round. That is head and shoulders above Xander, Mackenzie Hughes, Robert McIntyre, Aaron Rai. We're talking about Aaron Rai is the best golfer in the world. Now, watch this. So last 16 rounds, he's at a 1.4. Watch this. Let's do last 200 rounds. I want like his whole career. He goes from a 1.4, to a 0. So he is basically a stroke and a half better per round with the putter right now than in his career. A stroke and a half per round. That's 6 strokes in a tournament. I don't know if he can keep that pace up, but I'm just pointing out what is going on here. Thanks for another great season of content. You don't miss. Most weeks you, and then it gets cut off. I imagine it's like most weeks you are so handsome and look really good. And like, I don't know, all that stuff. Do you think you could win this championship while starting on the farthest spot on the green for every hole? Yes. Oh, yeah. Maybe. So let's say the winning score is going to be, 71 times 4 is 284. Let's say 18 under, 266 divided by 72. I have 3.6 putts per green, and they're small greens. Yes, I win. Deep dive on Matthew Jordan. Yeah, talked about him last week, but I'll pull him back up because he's a very good player, and we don't get a lot of chances to talk about him. T26 at the Scottish Open. A lot of it was via the short game, but he's been a positive approach player for the vast majority of the DP World Tour season. So we're kind of just hoping to marry all this together, right? I like the way Matthew Jordan plays here. A couple of super chats. Let me get to these. Ben, always, the super chats are appreciated, never required, obviously. Brooks, Im, or Cantlay, if you had to pick one. For me, that is Sungjae. Scheffler isn't a guarantee with putting being least here. He's a very good putter, and he's great from tee to green in other places. And then it says Rose or Wallace first round matchup. I agree with you. It is Rose. Thank you very much. Most weeks you mentioned not having a real chance to win or can't win. Can you do a new custom model from your eyes that gets you a top 10 that all have a shot to win? Yeah. Watch this. Custom model. Oh, maybe I closed it. I have 400 tabs open. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. Here's what I would do. You want upside, baby? I'll give you upside. I'm going to give you 25. I'm going to do 30 on weighted strokes gain total just to, give everybody the proper due. Then I'm going to go into this. Strokes gain distribution. How often do golfers gain 0 strokes to the field? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going 4 and 5. So we're just going to pile up. How often does a golfer gain 4 or more strokes to the field? How often do they gain 5 or more? These are the top 10 that can actually win. Not the only 10, but this is for Clay. Rory McIlroy, Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Oberg, Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, John Rahm, Xander Schauffele, Tom Kim, Patrick Cantlay, Hideki, Victor. Those are the ones. Can you rank the top 5 live guys in order? Yeah, it is Bryson, Hatton, Rahm, Smith, Smith Brooks. I don't love those last two, but that's what I would do. Yes, Splash is in Ontario. The only place it's not is Quebec. Quebec, I believe, which I'll be at. Oh, that'll be another video for this year. President's Cup. Got a lot of travel coming up.
Like another members video.
Another members video, says Armina. She's got to make sure we get that money. She wants all your money. Have you released your pick yet? How has nobody asked about Mina's pick yet?
They have. You just haven't got.
Oh, who'd you pick? Mina. She said Mina Wu Lee, which is Min Wu Lee. I don't think Splash is allowed in Michigan. Talk to your local congressman. Ricky or Montecero? Montecero for me. Grazie mille. I really like Tommy this week for one and done, but I know it's probably wise to save him and use a live golfer. But where would be a logical place to use him later? Oof. Well, it depends on what he's going to play. But would you? I mean, it depends on who you have left, right? Like if he's your top guy left, you could use him in the playoffs. But if you have like 4 other guys better, just use him here. It's not the end of the world. Rick, how is all the data streamlined to your database? Oh, David, this is going to take me 7 weeks to answer. In short, I mean, I've been compiling this for 10 years, right? So there are a lot of different sources that go into one giant source, my database. Sometimes that comes in through APIs, official APIs that I have with the tours. I have agreements with them. They send me data via APIs. I consume that. I put it into a giant database, and then I put it into the website or do other things with it. Sometimes I manually put it in. Sometimes there's just things that I have to just manually put in because there's no other way to get it. There's no other source. So, I mean, it is just like 30 different sources from 10 different methods of entry that over the last 10 years, I've tried to expedite and be as efficient as possible. And that's where we're at. Rye or Batia? Probably Rye. Oh, yeah, let's do this because I did not. I told you I bet Shane Lowry, and I didn't really dive into anything else about that. So let me just show you what I see here. A really good profile from the Travelers Championship. A good-ish profile at the U.S. Open. And ever since the PGA Championship, in which he sun runs 9.5 strokes putting, which I was there on Saturday on the 18th green when he had a chance to break the major championship scoring record. His stat profiles have been much more sustainable, which I like. The T6 at the PGA gaining 10 strokes putting is not exciting to me because it is absolutely coming to earth. These are much better profiles. Obviously, he has won this event before. In his last 4 opens, he's missed the cut once, and all the rest are top 20s, 21st, 12th, and first. So I'm in on old Shano here. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh, I answered that one. So a southerly wind, the front 9 plays into the wind, the back 9 plays downwind. If it flips to northerly, it's the opposite. Here's another member. Where are we with Hideki? Yeah, so I usually am more positive on Hideki than most. I know that he has this attachment of like, oh my gosh, he might WD. Like, yeah, he might. And he might lose 4.7 strokes putting like he did at the Scottish Open. Yeah, he might. But even that result, the current modern version of Hideki, that's pretty much an outlier. He had gained strokes putting in 5 straight. He has, like, seriously, the best around the green game in the world. I'm not even sure I'm exaggerating there. So last 200 rounds, everybody, PGA Tour rounds, around the green play, everybody in this field, Hideki is number 3. Cam Smith, Justin Thomas, and Hideki. So I'm not even really exaggerating that he has the best around the green game in the world, which always gets overlooked. And then, of course, he's good enough to win. We saw him win at Riviera. He's got a bunch of other top 10 finishes. I'll pull up his Open Championship history. It's 13th last year, couple of years with some bad stuff, 14th, 18th, 6th in 2013. It's a mixed bag. I'm generally positive on that. Yeah, I wouldn't read anything into this. Why did Cantlay withdraw before the John Deere? I just think that he didn't want to play it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's anything crazy. The next question is Hovland a massive fade? Yeah, I hate to say it. Listen, I'm trying to be impartial and I'm looking at the stat profile and I'll cover up his face so I don't have to look at him. I wouldn't invest in this. You know, I think the around the green play is going to be really important. He's lost in like 11 out of 12. He was on the featured groups a lot last week, and there were just a lot of not flush approaches, which is that can't happen if we're already narrowing the path statistically for Victor. I need to see like something like give me a +3 approach week and a 0 around the green, and I will give all my money to Victor backers like for the rest of the year. But I just need to see one more thing. I think Xander is being a little bit overlooked. I mean, we haven't really had much questions here. So I think Xander is probably the answer here, but this one has my attention as well. Oh, that's another video I'll make for the members shy of the channel. The trip to Australia at the end of the year. Mitch says, "Hey Rick, big fan. Thank you. He's in Australia. Heard you're coming out. I am. You can sort around at Royal, Kingston, and Victoria for you if you're interested. Mitch, I'm interested. I'm interested, Mitch. If you could email me, that would be great. It is rick@rickrungood.com. I have had some very generous members already get me set up with like, I think we've got Royal Adelaide on the schedule. So I've been in communication with some Aussie friends. So much appreciated. If we can work something out, that would be amazing. I'm definitely interested. Just please shoot me an email. Oh my God, we're in overtime already? We've been in overtime. Real quick. This is my one and done. So this is the Pool Genius tool that I consulted on. This is what I have left. So I want to give you like a realistic look at what I have left here and what somebody might have left and how this grades based on your custom, entries and needs and stuff like that. So you can see that Xander is my best player available. However, he does not score as high as Bryson does because Xander has a lot better future value. Xander I can use like 4 more times this year. Bryson turns to dust tomorrow. So I like this tool a lot because it does future value. It keeps track of the odds. It knows the pick popularity. It knows your settings, your payouts, how much all your picks that you've made. So it knows who you do not have available. So the guys at Pool Genius do a really good job. I have a nice relationship with them. This is a tool that I consulted on this winter. We met up in Denver for it. There is a link in the description if you want to sign up for this. I think there's either a trial or a discount. Whatever link in the description is, it's the best thing you can get. And also they are now, so they do a lot of stuff. They do the March Madness stuff, which is great. And now we're getting into NFL Survivor time, which is very strategic and math-based. They do a lot of good stuff there. So now would be a pretty good time to get in. And they're legit dudes. They've been doing this for a long time. I wouldn't point it out if I didn't use it, quite honestly. Ben says, Rory, Colin, Rahm, Finau, Smith, Cantlay, Im. Is that a good list? I think it is. I think it is a little, I think it's risky, right? I think Rahm is high upside, low or high risk, high reward. I think Cantlay is also in that category, but I think that, I think Sungjae is great. I think Colin's phenomenal. I'm wishing you the best of luck. B Hale, we did already answer this. I rattled off my betting card and Armina is going with Min Woo Lee. Mina Woo Lee. Hey, Rick, love the newsletter. Hatton or Fleetwood? Depends on the situation and all that stuff, but vacuum Hatton probably. Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. Now it's like, who are the is Zalatoris doomed? Boy. Kind of feels like it. I do not like this at all. I have a lot of Zalatoris in season-long fantasy and thought I was a genius, and now I'm not so sure. Got off to such a great start to the year. The putter's a problem. Everything's a problem. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if it's lingering stuff. I don't know if it's swing changes. I don't know, but this is a very, very bad situation, in my opinion. I don't think I have any other. I don't know. Just it's bad. I actually benched him for the first time. I'm playing. I mean, if we're this deep into overtime, like you care about this, so let's just roll on. I benched him for where's this team? Here. I benched him for Davis Thompson. Is that sick? So I rolled out Rory, Fleetwood, Harmon, and Davis Thompson. I benched, so Lucas Glover's playing this week, Matt McNeely, Alex Noren, and Will Zalatoris. I actually think maybe I should play Noren instead of Harmon. Should I do that? Maybe I go Noren instead of Harmon. That might burn me. And then Davis Thompson instead of Will Zal. Like, dude, this stinks. Like, this is the cool part about season-long fantasies. You have to make these decisions. All right, I'll go Fleetwood, Rory, Noren, Thompson, and then my other league that I'm in, I have Ludwig Hatton, who I've been stocking, JT and Cam Young. I have Noren on the bench there too. All right, so at least I got some. Gosh, I have a lot of good guys on the bench here. Sahith, Davis Thompson, but I don't think I can replace. I guess I could replace I can't replace JT at a major, can I? Oh god, those are some tricky pickles. I default to opportunities gained over greens in regulation. Seems more specific in terms of scoring. 100% better for scoring. So opportunities gained or opportunities plus gained are how often a golfer is hitting it to 10 or 15 feet. Opportunities plus is 10, which is an indicator of how often they're going to have birdie putts. The other thing, and I don't know if I should share this because I'm working on a different one. I'm going to keep that one to myself for now. What's up, Rick? I'm getting a lot of Davis Thompson and Akshay. Yeah, listen, I just outlined the case for Davis Thompson, and we talked a lot about Akshay a little bit earlier, but Davis Thompson's a stud, man. And he backed up the win with a pretty decent result at the Scottish Open, which I think was going to just be an uphill battle for him. Now his second week in Scotland, I think it's going to be a little bit better. Sung Jae Im is, so I've been tracking salaries for almost 5 years. And this is, I believe, one of the cheapest. Yeah. The last time, non-tour championship, because that doesn't count. The last time that he was this cheap was the 2019 Memorial. Talking about 5 years. He's only ever been in the 6K range 4 other times. It's very, very cheap. I have to pick 2. Lowry, Thagala, Clark, Rye, or Connors. I go Lowry, Rye. I think Clark. So Jacob says, do you think Homa or Clark is closer to get back into form? I think Clark is much closer. Whoops. Because at least we've seen. Oh, that might not have worked. Sorry. My fingers are moving faster than my brain is moving. Clark's been good for the last 2 starts. And I think there's a path for him to club down, hit a little driving iron, hit a little 3-iron everywhere, and get around this place. Homa is lost, I think. The driver's a problem. Everything's a problem. This is kind of really, really ugly, right? I mean, look how bad the driver's been, the approach play. I mean, everything. He's lost strokes putting in 5 straight. He's lost strokes off the tee in like 8 straight. It's not good. It's very not good. So I think Clark is definitely back in action. Core cascading on Colin Hideki, Ryan Sungjae. 1, 2, 3, 4. Colin, Hideki, Rai, and Sungjae. Yes. Right. Yeah, because Sungjae is going to be incredibly popular, but you're core cascading, so you're going to be able to outweigh that. And then, of course, you do get the other benefits with the low price guys. Griffin or Catlin? I think I'm in on Catlin, but let's look at the Ben Griffin situation here. Very good short game player. That's actually a lot better than I thought. Runner up at the Canadian Open, 5th at the John Deere, played well enough at the Scottish Open. But let's look at what Catlin's been doing. So he's been filling in for Charles Howe III on Live, and he's been playing great. 24th, 7th, 23rd. He finished second in Morocco. He went back-to-back wins on the Asian Tour in March and February. I think I'm still in on Catlin. Has he played an Open before? He played it twice, 2022 and 2021. He missed the cut in both of those. I still think it's Catlin here. I don't have many players left. Should I use Aaron Rai, DeChambeau, or Wyndham Clark? Depends on your position. If you're near the top, it's DeChambeau. If you're kind of in the middle, it's Aaron Rai. If you're super deep, go with Wyndham Clark. Is there a promo code for Splash? Try Rick. If that doesn't work, try Rick Run Good. Or if you just use the link in the description, it's like it's built into the link. So like whatever the best offer is or whatever is good. Any updates on when the Olympics preview might come out, Armina? They're in for the Olympics already.
We're going to be in Hawaii.
So the answer is always the Monday of that tournament. It's just the rat race of trying to get it out early doesn't make any sense. We've tried it in the past. People don't watch it before Monday anyway. It screws up the we are a well-oiled machine at this point. We've got a lot of things, like there's a system in place, and the Olympics preview will come out Monday of the Olympics.
Yeah, that's next week.
No, it's not next week. 3M opens next week. It's the week after that, I believe. Oh, now you guys are just talking amongst yourself. Okay. I'm going to put a pin in this. I'm going to leave you with a couple of items, though. Go sign up for Splash. It is now available in Canada. The Rick Run Good Listener League has a couple hundred spots left. It is $25,000 guaranteed. It is $100,000 extra if you can get the optimal lineup. RickRunGood.com, which is my favorite website on the internet. I am obviously biased in that situation. Is fantastic, especially for weeks like this, and it's always getting better. I suggest you sign up for that. Underdog, links in the description. The code is Rick. That gets you the deposit match. Sign up for my newsletter. That is 100% free every single week in the description. Go sign up for the Pool Genius tool. All the stuff that I ever mention is stuff that I use, stuff that I know is of value, things that I have vetted. I turn down a lot of stuff. I have like partnerships with these things, not just like one-off. Hey, want to do an ad for a week? I don't do that stuff. This is all the good stuff. All the links are in the description that you need. Go get some rest, because this for me starts at about 10:30 tonight. So, mama, that is going to be crazy. And I'll be live on TV at 2 Eastern on CBS Sports Network if you're interested. I think that's all. I wish you all a great, absolutely awesome week. Talk to you soon.